if you kick people out, it's just worse for the country.
Well, I think the idea that you're going to round up 11 million people, I think, as Governor Bush has said, it's not something that really can be done. I know.
Well, it could be done, but it's a very bad idea.
Well, I think Donald Trump
right?
has said he plans to do that.
Right.
I think what he'll find is it's very difficult to do that.
It is,
and maybe impossible to do that.
Well, it'll be expensive because it's going to cost a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's going to create a lot of grief and tragedy, human tragedy, right?
And there's certainly an understanding why that might appeal to the worst nature of people to say, let's go find them and round them up.
Because they think that it's in their best interest, but it's not going to help them because it's going to reduce jobs. Each one of those immigrants is buying food, like we discussed before, clothing, is renting apartments. If you kick them out, the apartment's vacant, the food isn't being bought, the clothes aren't being bought, and so the whole economy suffers. And it will suffer if you kicked out 11 million. It would suffer tremendously.
Yeah. I think Governor Bush's perspective on immigration has been consistent. I think the first and foremost thing is who has a credible plan and who has stuck with their plan versus if you watch the arguments from the other candidates, they're arguing over who's changed their position the most.
Right, but Trump, you mentioned Trump's plan, right?
Yeah.
Deporting the 11 million
Well, don't forget making Mexico pay for a wall. Sure.
Yeah, but let's just talk about the deportation here. That would clog up the courts, right? Because all these people can get lawyers and can argue that they have to be able to stay, right? I mean,
I don't know.
Well,
I don't know.
If they come to arrest you, you get a lawyer, and then you have a right to a hearing. And
I don't know how that process
well,
works.
that's going to clog up the courts instead of dealing with actually these people aren't violating anybody's rights. They're productive citizens. They're not really harming anybody, are they?
Well, they're not citizens. They're illegal immigrants.
No, they're productive residents. In the sense, they're productive people. They're not like robbers or rapists or murderers. They are the ones that we're talking about. Those anybody who's a criminal, we got to kick out of here. Obviously, but we're talking about the people that are productive citizens, not citizens, I kept using that word, productive residents, and if you kick them out, it will hurt the economy because it will reduce demand for all those goods and services that they purchase today. So, plus the cost, they will get lawyers and you'll have to go person by person, and before you can kick them out, you have to have a hearing.
Mm-hmm.
And so that'll clog up the courts, and all to create a human tragedy, right? Because I mean, this plan doesn't make any sense, and Bush made that point the other day in the debate, right? He's going to deport all these people and bring them back. What's the point? If you're going to bring them back, why don't you process them here?
Well, that's a question to ask Donald Trump, not me.
Right, I know, but I mean,
my guy
Bush
agrees with what you're saying.
Bush made that point, right?
Many times, consistently, for years.
That makes a lot of. So it's an absurd plan. I mean, if you want to kick these 11 million people out and then expeditedly bring them back, well, you might as well process them here, right? What's the point? And now, what is Trump's answer to why he has to kick these 11 million people out? You recall?
You have to ask Donald Trump's people.
No, and I know because I watch the interviews and I know what's going on. It's very simple. He says, we have to do it because it's the law. I asked Donald Trump, why can't we just change the law and process them here? He had no answer.
Well, Donald Trump doesn't have an answer for anything. I mean, he doesn't have specifics. He doesn't have specifics about anything, so we'll be clear about that. I mean, Jeb Bush has been very specific and very consistent about his position on everything, and I think that's unfortunately been missing from this debate from the very beginning. Is Donald Trump has a lot of lofty rhetoric, but no specifics. And
well, I'll try to interview him again and see if he'll answer some questions.
Unfortunately, for people that are voters, and for the people who are impacted by all of these policies, whether it's immigration, healthcare, the economy, unfortunately the details do matter. And unfortunately Donald Trump hasn't been able to give any details about anything. He speaks to the worst of people's fears instead of to their aspirations, and that's the difference between Donald Trump and Jeb Bush. Jeb Bush speaks to people's aspirations because he tells them the truth, and he gives details behind what he wants to do. You know, he sees people as people. They're not numbers. They're not, you know. And if you look at his own family, he's married to an immigrant. He's got beautiful children and grandchildren that don't check a box. They're Americans. They're real people, and it's just a shame that the debate has denigrated to the point where we're turning our fire on each other instead of talking about the aspirations of people.
Well,
the reason most people come to the United States of America is because they're seeking economic opportunity.
Right.
It's the reason my ancestors came to this country. They were looking for economic opportunity.
Let's talk about your ancestors. Your last name is Levine, and
yes.
I assume it might